Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome to the Secrets of a Ghostwriter. And a warm welcome, of course, to my free webinar here, 7 Proven Ways to Begin Your Writing Career. This is my personal formula to get your writing started or restarted. My name is Tony Horn. I'm a writer and podcaster, having spent 4 decades on British radio. I've been writing pretty much full-time for the last 2 of those decades. Now, I did do over 25 years hosting one of those crazy morning shows at the crack of dawn that's meant to make you laugh every day. And in my prime, I became one of the highest paid radio presenters in England outside of London. But guess what? I hated quite a bit of it. I wanted to write down the words more than I did speak them on the air. And I realized this a long time ago, probably as far back as 1990. I did begin writing newspaper columns for free for my local papers. But like you, I always said, I've got a book in me. So what happened next? Not very much. But then finally I did start. And I've spoken to thousands of people like you over the years, and I ask them the same questions. The first one is the obvious one. What is stopping you getting your book done? What's stopping you writing? There's always some stumbling block to every single writer. It's a universal experience. Life gets in the way. Now, in time, I'm going to introduce you to my tutorial videos, where I will share the secrets on everything that happens once you're underway. So to be clear, my tutorials will consist of short, sharp videos and will address the business of writing and the actual business side of writing. These tutorials are for writers and ghostwriters, and for whether you've started or not, whatever stage you're at. In time, hopefully, we will cover everything. Ghostwriting happens to be my personal forte. Many of the same principles apply. That's for later. For now, let's get you started or restarted with 7 mindsets to get you going. Let's address that what's stopping you writing question. Number 1, if you want to do this for a living, treat it like the day job. What do you think the first response is when I ask people and say, what is stopping you? Almost without exception, the reply is, I don't have the time, or other equivalents. It's not a priority right now. I've got a full-time job. The kids. There are many ways of phrasing that same answer. Too many things on the go. Hot on the heels of those responses were issues of doubt, self-doubt, confidence. I don't know where to start. Sits right alongside stuff like, I don't even know how to lay the book out on the screen. And sometimes I'd hear people say, I don't want to make a fool of myself. But you know, you have started because you're here watching this. You've decided to do something about it. So I think well done for being proactive and reaching out for some professional advice from someone who's been there and was once in that position. Now, hopefully, once you've watched this webinar, I hope you're going to be motivated to start, and I hope you will follow through to some of the subsequent videos. They will help you. Shortly, I'm going to talk about belief, your state of mind, your confidence levels, but let's just look at that procrastination issue. We can address that if we take an honest look at ourselves. It is all about time, obviously, but when your time runs out, you make excuses, don't you? So that's actually about mindset. You're only making them to yourself. Sound familiar? You're not alone. We've all been there. I'm going to tell you how I found the time when I started. I think 5 key words can summarize it. Fear, adrenaline, momentum, deadline, eliminate. So I'm going to take you back to 2011. I spoke to the late British policeman David Rathband about writing his memoir. He was a serving officer who'd been shot in July of the previous year, gunned down by Raoul Moat. David becomes a national hero. His life falls apart in public. He takes his own life. I knew one thing trying to get David's book published. we had to make the first anniversary of the attack on him. So I started work with no publisher. Quite possibly you're in the same situation now. It's a big obstacle, but time is ticking. I'm terrified of missing the boat and letting David down professionally and personally. I didn't want to make a fool of myself by not delivering. That leads to adrenaline. Adrenaline and momentum go hand in hand. I'll give you some context. I was often driving about 1,000 miles a week, sometimes at 3 a.m. I'm fronting the biggest radio show in the north of England, and that's the background into how I really got going into my writing career. I turned that fear and adrenaline around, momentum takes over. I got lucky. We got a publisher, but I was way out of my depth. I clung to one old adage: nothing focuses the mind like a deadline. So I'm way past fear and adrenaline at this point, but I still need to get over the line. Momentum and elimination. I delivered 90,000 words inside 16 weeks and produced what was at the time the second bestseller for the publisher. So what can you make from this? In the subsequent videos, I'm going to show you how to build that momentum, whether you've got a deadline or not. I'll summarize it here in a sentence. You have to do a little often. And the more often you do a little, the more often you will do more. It's simple. So what's this elimination I'm talking about? Well, the number one tip I give to anybody who asks me, how do you do all that? How do you continue to do it and do a massive radio show? You've got to invent hours in the day that do not exist. When you find those hours, you have to go to work and respect the book as you would your employer. Your book has hired you. So back around the 2000s, I stopped watching television in real time. I don't have a clue what goes out on British television from 6:30 to 10 in the evening. I invented hours in the day that simply didn't exist. And I wrote, and since then I've been working night after night. So if you want to succeed, go to work at home and go to work and set a time and stick to it and respect it. And when you've done this once, do it again. Carry on. Don't congratulate yourself on taking my advice on board and only managing to do it perhaps on the night after you've watched this webinar. You would get fired if you took that attitude into a workplace. So go to work. Go to work. Don't overdo it. Every day or night, a little often. Start about the same time. Finish when it feels right. Understand your own momentum. If you're flying, keep going. If you're struggling, recognize that it'll come again and learn when to stop. Trust me, you won't miss the television. Plus, who watches anything in real time now anyway, apart from sport and news? And in time, you'll feel really good about what you've achieved while everyone else was doing very little. So if you want to make this your living, treat it like your day job. And that's what I mean by elimination. By the way, the number one choice people make in writing, apart from having a story to tell, is that they are drawn to it from a lifestyle point of view. Hence why I say, if you want to make it your living. Right, let's move on to step number 2. I know I have a book in me. There's the belief. Let's talk about the mind. You probably recognize many of the phrases that I used earlier about procrastination. I'm pretty sure you've noted the excuses equally. I'm pretty sure too you've said out loud to your friends, I know I have a book in me. And more often than that, you've probably said it in your own head many, many times. So you do believe, and obviously that's why you're here and still watching. Now here's the thing. At almost every stage in life, we've got some sort of teacher, a boss. There's a parent, maybe 2. Then comes along school, sports teams, driving instructors, group scenarios where leaders emerge. Your first job, your first boss, your mortgage advisor, your doctor, your personal trainer, your pension person. Do I need to go on? You are used to having a coach. What happens if you write? As far as I can see, this business is almost unique. There are no rules. There is no blueprint. I don't see many coaches. You're struggling perhaps because you are doing this on your own. You do quietly believe because you've identified your aspiration, and now perhaps all you need is that inspiration. So many people have told me that they felt lonely, alone on their own, unmotivated, likely to give up as a result of spending hours staring out the window, getting nowhere. I never feel lonely when I'm writing. It actually sets me free. I always smile that I'm working on something that nobody else really knows about yet, but may well feel the impact of months from now. It's fantastic sitting on a secret, and I enjoy that solitude and the peace of it. There's a difference, maybe, in that I have trained myself to fly. Once I start, I'm off, and I'm reaching for the skies, and hopefully I can show you how ahead. Now, yes, once upon a time, I didn't know what I was doing either, but I had that belief always. I just lacked method. Now, if we reflect on and review those excuses from earlier, get this, nobody ever said to me, I don't know what to write. And isn't that brilliant? People's answers just depicted a lack of structure in their lives, time management issues, insufficient motivation, a general lack of understanding about the business. But nobody said, I don't know how to write. Take heart from that. I know that you're here because inside you bubbling, you've reached that point where you need somebody to take you through to the next stage. You know you can write, and you either need maybe that coach or a companion, and that sets you aside from so many people. You're just missing something. Here's a subtle point. Your friends and family probably are wondering where the book is you've been telling them about for some time. It might even be a little bit uncomfortable for you that you haven't delivered. Maybe it knocks that belief back a touch. These are probably the same well-meaning people who, way before you attempted to start, also said to you, you should definitely write a book. I know you've got a book in you. And that's why you're here. Now, here's a reality check. This is a tough one. I think you need to keep your counsels small. You took heart once from their encouragement, but now set them aside. Friends constantly asking how that book is coming along doesn't do anything for your confidence. They don't actually think they will ever see this book, and that might make you want to continue even less. Let's get back to this idea that you're actually going to work in an office, in a normal job. You make decisions with people, hopefully skilled people and hopefully experienced in that line of work. I know, hopefully is a big word. Your family and friends are not the people to feed off when writing a book, although proving people wrong can be motivated. They're probably just not qualified. They'll see it in these terms. Well, a lot of time has passed and still no book. Almost a little bit of a joke, a little bit patronizing. You need to go to work again. You need to find a professional who's experienced all of this. Chances are you're going to connect with other people who share the same belief and doubts as you. If you look around, you'll find them. I'm always at the end of an email. I have a lot of experience where people just talk to me as to why they're stuck. Half an hour later, they feel good and they're off. I'm a professional and I understand. I'm not saying it's the quality of the words. I think it's the quality of the companionship. Now, I have a personal belief that if you ask more than 3 people their opinion, you've stopped asking for advice, but instead are asking for reassurance. So keep your counsel small. And that's one of my golden rules. And that's sort of the friends and family element. But again, the fact that you're here tells me deep down you do have that belief. You just might be taking counsel from the wrong people. Now, I hope in your mind you can turn that emotion of reaching out for guidance into a positive. It underlines your own belief in you. You've done the right thing being here, I think. So thank you for stopping by. Okay, point number 3, go to work. Build your own den. I guess you've heard many stories of writers where they hire a cottage or a villa or somewhere else they can escape to let their creative juices flow. Bit of a movie image, bit of a pipe dream. You might well have read about or witnessed or even seen adverts for that office shed built at the bottom of the garden. Bit less of a pipe dream. Quite possible you don't have funds for either. In today's world, life, of course, is suited to the entrepreneur who can pretty much work from anywhere. Let me tell you something. You're an entrepreneur too. The concept of a book might be age old, but you are an entrepreneur because you are creating and you are selling a brand new something that doesn't yet exist. That's great. Let's have a look at what we know. I've already shown you need to go to work right now. I'm guessing there's a good chance you still have to do what those friends and family I mentioned call a proper job. If you don't, I'm going to work on the basis that you did once. For most of us, the majority of our working lives, we've been used to getting into an office or going to some fixed place of work, day in, day out. I think that's one of the things we're all writing for, to escape that. But let's not overlook its principle. And I really urge you to take that on board. If you're going to be a successful writer, you need to consider your environment. Now, there's a little thing on social media. Sometimes there's a hashtag that comes around and it's there for a bit and it goes. It's about a writer's view or a writer's room. So authors having a bit of fun, a bit of downtime, borderline showing off where they're working from. You need to build that den and you need to build that routine around that. The guy with the shed at the end of his garden, he's physically going to work every day if he's using it as an office. He's invested his own money in a shed office. But what he's done is he's made a contract with himself. He's forcing himself to get focused and isolated from distraction. He's paid for the shed, a shed load of money. He's got to use it. No shed? Just find somewhere else. It's really important that you're both comfortable where you work and that you work there regularly. Now, this is pretty simple, but often overlooked. If you're jotting things down on sticky notepads, they need to be in the same place the next time you go to work. If your friends and family have lost that belief in you, and that's important to you, and they think this is just some pie in the sky idea, mark your territory. When that lawn needs mowing or equivalent, put down a marker to them. You're going to work at the same place every day. I don't think you can get this done working on a bar stool in the kitchen or on a laptop in front of the TV with sports commentary in the background, or in a quick half hour before the kids or grandkids come calling outside in the garden. Go to work, build your den, look professional. Now, obviously, from time to time, break the routine and go somewhere else. And I have occasionally said I might go down the pub and just do some writing because it's quiet at this time of day. But actually, it rarely delivers for me. Often, I'll end up on the phone, distracted by that sport in the corner, maybe rolling my eyes at inane conversation, smelling food. All this, distraction, distraction, distraction. If I go to my office, that's where I do the magic. Discipline, routine. Build your new office, build your den, whatever works for you, but go to work. Simple, but true. Number 4, if you're not writing, read about writing. Do your research, become part of the industry. In time, as you work your way through the tutorials, I'm going to teach you about the business side of the business. For now, I'm just going to put down a little marker. We're going to revisit this often. Very few people new to the business to whom I've spoken had any idea about how the business actually works. My experience tells me that you probably spend so much time, emotion, and creativity in writing your story that you either give it no thought, other than perhaps a little daydream to what happens next, dreaming of money, or you don't really have a great understanding of it. Either way, it's something that's in your head for later. The book is everything. Let me chuck some questions at you and see if you can answer. I'll start with an obvious one. How do I get published? Well, that's the one everyone wants answering more than any, isn't it? And then, how much money will I make? These are the how long is a piece of string questions. There are some other key points in the modern world of publishing, stuff you'll want to know about. Do I need an agent? How do I get one? How long will it be before they publish my book? What do I need to spend money on if I'm self-publishing? What should I not spend money on if I'm self-publishing? Why is my book reduced on Amazon before it's even come out? It says my book is number 5,000 in the rankings. I'm raking it in, aren't I? And so on. I'll address all of this on the Secrets of a Ghostwriter channel, the business of writing and the business of writing. But for now, I really want you to do one thing, change your mindset, and I'd like you to do it now as well. I'll explain. So I guarantee you'll have the most success if you stop thinking of yourself solely as a writer, but instead start splitting the brain into two. You're both the writer and the business person. You will write better and make better decisions if you get into that mindset. You're the salesperson. This has to start now. At every point, every writer has to sell. This is where many fail. If you think about it, you've probably got to get yourself in front of a publisher. You're selling you and you're selling your book. And they do the rest, you hope. People buy from people. Then you've got to promote the book. So you're selling again, and you're selling every day for the rest of your life. And that's if you have a publisher. You've got to do everything if you're self-publishing. People do not buy your book on the same day it comes out. People throw all their marketing prowess at launch. Word of mouth means the public come in stages. Word of mouth only kicks in when people have had time to read it. Split the brain. Start to become the business person and the creator of your great book. Here are 2 simple tips. You can do this right now to start that process. Number 1, you can begin to casually read industry websites way before you have a book. In the UK, Bookseller is the place to go. Then there's the Society of Authors website in the States. Check out Authors Guild. You'll learn about names, deals, rights campaigns, audiobooks, ebooks, book covers, everything. Just by following the latest stories breaking in the publishing world, you're doing your research and you'll feel good too. And I'll explain why, because you'll realize you're becoming part of an industry you're currently on the fringe of. You start to belong. You'll also witness what you perceive as success stories, people announcing really positive outcomes to their journeys. And that's actually really good for your mental health. It should not be a daunting world, more one you can grow into. These writers, publishers, agents, etc. began a long time ago, perhaps where you are now, and you won't have heard of many of them, but it will give you belief. Almost without fail, everyone has come from where you are today. Now here's a small story. I attended a British Society of Authors question and answer session a long time ago with Waterstones, the main high street book chain in the UK. I actually met one of the speakers getting off the train, and she said, "Are you a writer?" And I said, "Well, I've written 3 or 4 books, so I guess I am." I explained like an idiot. Clearly I was, but I just didn't feel it, and I wasn't part of the industry. I was alone. And in that moment, I vowed to learn, to study, and to watch. I wasn't taking myself seriously enough as a brand, so who else is going to? Okay, number 2, spend some time on Amazon. I know if you're watching this, you've some sort of idea of what you want to be or what you will be writing, or perhaps you just want to write, but you're not sure what. Well, look, I hope there's some inspiration here today, but I strongly recommend getting focused on your genre or your subject matter before you watch any of the tutorial videos. Please don't just dream about being a writer. Start to have a plan. So what do you do on Amazon then? Well, it's very obvious that you get your business hat on. You type in the words into the book section that might be in the same categories as your field. You can take a lot of belief from this, but be measured before you go piling in. You'll see books that have bombed and have not been purchased. And you'll see those writers who've absolutely nailed it. Now, the former, the less successful, might worry you, but should tell you you can do better than those books. The latter must be an inspiration and not an intimidation, not any cause for dejection. Take confidence from the fact that people are writing and publishing in your subject area. People are interested. In many ways, and in this industry, it is better to be in a crowded marketplace than be the only seller on the street. There's always a hole in the market, even if it looks crowded out there. I'm going to back that up right now. Think of your own buying habits with books. It's like nothing else. If you go to the supermarket and you buy enough of what you need, you might be brand loyal to that shop. You're done. If you go to the bookstore and you purchase one book on, okay, I'm going to say the British Special Forces, the SAS, you might buy another. Now, I mention this example because, of course, it's an interest to me and happened to me. In the United Kingdom for the last 3 decades, there have been 2 really big players in the world of military fiction. For a reader like myself, it's often not one or the other writer, even though those 2 people I'm talking about have been intense rivals in life. You love the genre. You smother yourself in it. The market's got no ceiling. You go to the supermarket, and as much as you love a packet of tomatoes, you only really need 1 packet of tomatoes. That's all you buy. I repeat, the book market has no ceiling. People who read continue to read, and often do in the same genre. You buy one SAS book, you buy another. Do not fear the crowded marketplace. Look at your own collection. I'm sure it will back it up. Now, as we progress through my video tutorials, I'm going to show you how Amazon plays this to the writer's advantage. So do your research, size up the marketplace, do basic checks about whether your title itself already exists, and don't be dwarfed by the competition. Always be your own person and do it your own way. But as they say, if you can't beat them, join them. Okay, moving on. Number 5, invest in yourself. Well, how are you doing so far? I mean, if you're feeling more motivated than when we started, then we're making progress. And that's why I hope you'll carry on watching the tutorials. You might be thinking, why on earth does he want to give knowledge away? Why is he prepared to spend the time doing so? The very simple answer is this. When I started, people were generous with their time to me. I never forgot that I'd come from what I thought was a very cutthroat, nasty business, radio. Every conversation was won. It's a battle. You overanalyzed and second-guessed. The game of politics overshadowed the fun we were supposed to be having. That was my experience in radio. There's a chance you've been in similar workplace environments. My research tells me that writing is often this lifestyle choice. So as well as letting those creative juices flow, whatever you want out of this, you really want to work from home or an equivalent. You want to be in charge of your own destiny. You want to avoid being answerable to anybody, and you want to make money, correct? My first friend in the business was a woman in New Zealand. I'm in the United Kingdom. You can't get much further away. I read an article about her in a self-publishing magazine and was fascinated by her process as much as her story. Her name, Trish Clark. She'd written Good Night, God Bless. I tracked her down, I messaged her. To know she was only and always at the end of an email helped me. It taught me to behave as I do now and reminded me that the process of writing is by nature isolating and solitary. So believe it or not, I want to help you in the same way Trish and many others have helped me. And as I began making notes for the tutorial videos, I realized how many hundreds of hours worth of conversation I've shared with people like you over the years. So it made sense to put it all out there in one place. And here's the best bit for me. I learn a little too when you tell me that these techniques worked or inspired. When you bring your anecdotes and experiences to the table, I also get benefit. We're all learning all the time. One thing that keeps me grounded is that every year I mentor 5 or 6 students from my old university, Exeter, in the southwest of England. These are people just starting out on their publishing road. Not one of them has not enriched my life with their sparkle, their originality, and their freshness. You're here because your moment is now. That book is in your head. I can share with you my experiences, and from that, you'll have parallel moments. You might come to a point in the future, perhaps a long time ahead. Perhaps you're lucky enough that a newspaper wants to serialize your book. By that point, you should have loads of confidence, but this will be new territory. And hopefully you'll begin thinking, I wonder if he's got a tutorial on that. Well, I do. You might get an injunction. One day before publication, someone wants to stop it. What do? Don't worry. I've got your back there as well. That happened to me. You could find a difficult moment where you've done 25,000 words, but you feel you've just got to pull out. It's not right. I've been there. I've done that. That's all to come. There's a lot more stuff before we get into the business of the business, but isn't it better that we share these experiences, both for more knowledge and so that we know we're not alone? I can't write your book for you. Well, I can. I've got the tools. I'm aware that courses out there do not always deliver results. Results are your responsibility. But I'm going to give you everything I've got. And your responsibility is to take everything that you need from it. So remember, invest in yourself. Here's a little thing I did. Quick story. I flew to Los Angeles from Manchester, England for a weekend to attend a ghostwriting conference, the first annual Ghostwriters Conference in 2013. I waited over a decade for the second one, by the way, but that's another story. It cost me £645 I didn't have for the flight. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I learned so much, and I was a panelist supposed to be giving advice. I felt part of the industry, sitting next to Marvin Gaye's biographer. It took over a decade to get these ghosts back in the same room. That's the solitude of this profession. Equally, you can waste time and money. That wasn't a waste. I have a tutorial about the mistakes everyone who self-publishes makes, which I think is really important to watch, as self-publishing is the norm for so many people. So reach out to other authors. Do what I did with Trish. Compliment them about the piece you've read. Follow them on social media. Start to become part of the industry. Invest in yourself. Okay, I'm nearly done. Number 6, roadmap your book. So far, we've talked about the mind, the procrastination, the business, environment, time issues. We're ready to address the actual book. And since you're here, you must have an idea for that book. The process is underway in your mind. You need to organize your thoughts and your time. And of course, you need to split your brain. You need to organize your business strategy in sync with the writing, and you need to do it now. There'll be some days when it's going to be easier than others, but I'm going to tell you now how good you can be before you've even started or restarted. You're about to write, or you're in the middle of several thousand words you've already done, a lot of words. How on earth do we control that in our brain at the different stages of the process and for such a long, sustained period of time, keeping the story going up there? That's how good you are. That's what you're taking on. It's hard work, but it's great hard work. You probably don't give yourself enough credit for the amount of stuff your subconscious is already carrying around. 2 pieces of research resonate more than others. Firstly, you're often telling me you've spent many years not finishing your book. Secondly, you often say you can start and you think you can finish it, but in the middle, that's where you get stuck. I'm going to give you a really superficial piece of advice that's going to save you time and could start you on the way to making it as a writer. Christmas. That's my advice. Now remember, nothing focuses that mind like a deadline. Part of the roadmap in your book is as much about making a deadline real and achievable as it is the words and the narrative. So every year from very early on in the calendar, I always ask myself one question. How am I going to make Christmas this year? To make Christmas, I have to make September. What am I talking about? As you know, people will buy almost anything at that festive time of year. And that time of year now starts a month before with Black Friday, especially in America. And by the way, your book's not anything, it's a something. But you need to act now. And you need to take steps to put yourself in a position to reach the biggest market on the planet, the busiest time of year. And that means Amazon and that means Christmas. The two go hand in hand. It's likely watching this today that you don't have a publishing deal. I'm going to challenge you now that you are notionally, in your mind, going to make Amazon your publisher. Whatever your feelings about the brand, whatever you feel about self-publishing, obviously, for self-publishers, Amazon and what we call KDP might be your brand. I'm going to remove that doubt of what happens if you can't get a publisher and tell you that in the modern world, everyone can get a publisher. You know that, I think. It didn't used to be that way. You can upload your book to Amazon tonight if you want, if it's ready. It no longer exists as a reason to drain belief. Will I get a publisher? You might not want to self-publish if you could get a publisher, but that fear of rejection and wondering, is it going to be worth it, can dominate you. Get your business hat back on. Lose the emotion. Everyone can publish. Times have changed. Now, remember the book about the policeman? I began with no publisher. I created a deadline, and it wasn't Christmas in this case. Anniversaries are really good points to release real-life memoirs. So I knew in this case I had to work to July. If you don't have a specific moment in time in your head, wherever we are in the calendar when you watch this, locate the next September and work backwards 3 months to make that year's Christmas. You have to be ready for September, really, to release in time. To get momentum going, you really need to be ready, therefore, by late June to do all those final checks dealing with art, pictures, legal reads, a proofread, perhaps assembling your marketing plan. And remember, if you're outsourcing any of the above parts, you're asking a lot for all of them to come in on time at the same time. I guarantee at least one will keep you waiting. So you've got 12 weeks roughly to Christmas from September. Give yourself 12 weeks from June to make that deadline. If you can't meet that deadline that year, don't worry. Take the time you need, get it right, but make sure you're ready for the following year. When you break the year down into 12-week chunks, trust me, it soon comes round again. Now, when you see your book listed on Amazon, which you will do as soon as you register your ISBN, it will focus your brain or panic it, whatever stage in the calendar you're at. Time is on your side. You're not against the clock, but invest in yourself. Roadmap your book from a business point of view and market destination September. It's simple. It may sound obvious. Are you doing this or an equivalent? Okay, I hope that helps feel a little bit more focused now. Also, of course, it goes without saying, but I will anyway, roadmap your book from your story's point of view. So what happens in the middle of your story? Many writers live with scraps of paper, those post-it notes I mentioned earlier, half-baked ideas scattered all over the place. If I'm ghostwriting for a client, they tend to flit around from one anecdote in one year to another in another year. Nobody tells me their story in the order that it happened. If you're struggling with that middle bit, try what I do. I go to the store, I buy a massive piece of card, I work from the center outwards. I organize my thoughts and I join up the dots. I place the central theme, event, or character at the heart of my roadmap, in the middle, right there in the center. I expand outwards. I roadmap my story. That's not incredible insight, but it works for me. Why does it work? It disciplines me. I've gone to work. I've put my own whiteboard in place on the wall in my office. Why does it work? It hangs over me. I see it every time, even if I just pop into the office for something trivial. This is literally storyboarding. It's much easier visually to work from that than a dozen post-it notes. You see the whole card, the whole board in one eye shot. It feeds your subconscious. You can't do that with multiple notes all over the place. I often go into the office for something else. So when I'm not working, the big piece of card is there tapping into my subconscious conscience. It's making me accountable. It's warming me up when I'm not in the zone. Why does it work? It's always there. It's a mirror. It focuses. It speeds up engagement. It destroys procrastination. That word again. So remember, roadmap your story, obvious, but roadmap your mini deadlines, expect to overrun, and roadmap them throughout the year with a view to Christmas. Now, number 7, start. I hope you feel a little bit more ready. I hope this webinar's been helpful. And if it is, well, you probably should strike while the iron's hot. And that means I'd like you to try 2 things. I want you to open that document, whichever format you're using, Word or otherwise, that will be your book. If it's empty and shows no words, take a picture of it so you can reflect later and measure progress. You'll smile when you get to 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 words, and you'll look back at that image. That's being kind to yourself. Now start writing basic stuff. Insert your title, your name, write chapter 1, make it real, go live, begin. Everything that follows is going to come from within you. This is really basic. One piece of feedback I often receive is I don't know where to start. Sometimes I just turn on the laptop and stare at the screen, but everybody can do what I've just asked. You might be different to me, but when it's hot, momentum kicks in. So start typing anything you can. You can, of course, edit later. Keep your fingers fit. Start typing basic stuff. You might surprise yourself like a puppeteer and carry on typing, and then you're off. And once I start, my fingers do run away with themselves. Maybe I'm lucky, but I won't be lucky if I don't give myself a chance and open the document and start. As daft as this sounds, I mention it because I know so many writers who did just stare at the screen and never got going. They didn't even write chapter 1. They didn't even know how to help themselves. I've just given you 10 words for free. Now, in time, I will, as I say, cover everything on the video tutorials. It's a never-ending course. The industry changes. My tutorials are broken down into 3 main characteristics: unique professional tips, industry knowledge, personal case studies. Of course, I'm going to use my own experiences to show you the way, but I'll cover everything, and we will do so together. It's a course that need never stop as we continue to learn and the industry evolves. AI challenges on the horizon. My videos do not follow on from each other. I want you to be able to pull from them according to what you need. It's a library. I wonder if he's done 3 minutes on writer's block. I have. I wonder if he knows anything about picture credits in a book. I do. Oh my, I've just had a terrible review. What should I do now? Do I need to put something about AI in a contract? Do I need an agent? I can't write dialogue. I want to write a sports book. Chapter endings. Am I a one-trick pony as a writer? Why do so many authors fail on social media? Just take what you need, and if it's not there, let me know, and I'll do a tutorial on it. Have a think about some of those topics. Again, you'll notice I've split the brain. Some are about the work and the technique of writing. Others are about the deal. You need to get that business hat on and invest in yourself. And please remember, I am a writer and a ghostwriter. My knowledge is for both, whatever stage and level you're at. The business of writing and the business of writing. Your story is safe with me, and I hope I'll see you very soon when the secrets of a ghostwriter continues.